Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be talking about the film that brought zombies into a new era. It's 2002's 28 Days Later. I'm Sandy Nicholson and this is Perfect Scares. Alright, so it's happened. I said it. I said zombie. I'm going to keep saying zombie. Don't shout at me. The writer calls them zombies. They act like zombies. They're zombies. Cool. When people talk about the wake-up scene from this, they describe him walking around empty London, but it's so much more than that. It actually does a huge amount of work. Let's take a look. The scene begins small, just about as small as you can go and still understand that he's waking up. It's this incredibly tight shot on the eye. Then we start to pull back, starting with the room itself. The evolution of this is very deliberate.
Hello?
Next we pull back to the hospital. One corridor, then the whole thing, then the outside. Every step we take reveals the wider world, and the wider the world is, the more empty it is. And it's long. The film really takes its time to bake that emptiness into the audience and force them to really confront it.
Hello?
Here we get our first hint that something violent has happened here, but even with the startling imagery, Jim isn't breaking down. He doesn't have an emotional reaction. The scale of this is far too big for something like that. We talked in the Scream video about cauliflower and the fractal nature of beginning, middle and end, and you can see it here. In the beginning we establish that he's alone and exactly what that means, and then we move to the middle, the implications of that. Memorials. Again, each shot is intensely deliberate. What does a memorial mean if there's nobody there to look at it? Not just humanity, history too may have evaporated along with anyone who would be there to remember it. Next it's money, out on the floor, meaningless. Jim picking it up shows he hasn't come to terms with what all this means yet, but we are starting to. The scope of this just keeps expanding further and further out. It's a really good time to talk about the exceptional music, which really is the source of the scene. This score exemplifies everything we want from a horror score. We don't want it to tell us how we're supposed to be feeling, we want it to agree with how we're already feeling, to share with us that dread, and in so sharing it, allow us to properly process it. The alarm scares him. It almost reminds him that he's real, reminds him that there's been time this whole time, and then we see it. Not enough to know what's going on, but just enough to get a sense for it. And then finally, we finish not by expanding the scope one last time, but by contracting it, by taking the existential horror of the vanishing of humanity and zooming right in on it, to the microcosm, to the absolute swarm of missing posters. And finally, he gets it. The performance is extraordinary too, the change he's gone through already, the difference how he looks now to even just minutes ago.
Hello?
And then we get it. The first flash of non-Jim movement we've seen in nearly 10 minutes. It's not overtly frightening, but after having been conditioned to stillness, it's really startling to see that whip of the head. And now we're at part 3, the ending of the sequence, and here we get that big, exquisitely realised reversal. You're all alone, you're desperate to find another human being, but when you do...
Father. Are you okay? Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that.
They don't stop, they can't be hurt, they won't slow down even while they're on fire. The music is back as the pace quickens, and then we get this glorious flash of colour. It's frantic, it's tense, it's kinetic, and then finally it all climaxes the way anything should, with a giant explosion. Thank you for watching. It's so much fun to go through these and remember why they're so powerful. I hope you've enjoyed watching it again, and I'll see you next time.